Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review we are looking at the all-new Juggernaut wave of Marvel Legends Iceman figure, which I was particularly excited for. You guys probably have heard me mention at least a couple times in the past that I really like Iceman. I don't know why, I think he's a cool character. Insert time for an applause there for that joke. And I just like Iceman. I don't know. Maybe it's an ice thing. I like Sub-Zero also. Either way, I think Iceman's cool, and I was looking forward to this new figure because we haven't had a particularly good Iceman, and in recent history we had a really terrible Iceman, so it was nice to see a new one coming out. We see some new sculpt work on this guy, and he's an average figure overall. So let's get him off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, so this guy stands just shy of 17 centimeters, which makes him just shy of 6¾ inches. And I don't know, there's literally no paint on him except for the eyes, which you could be saying to yourself, well, ice is clear, so, you know, there's no paint, which you're right. You're absolutely right. Ice is clear. Even the blue hue to this, probably technically too much to be realistic. Here's the thing. Iceman's not really ice. I mean, he's not like ice. He's a comic book character that's made of ice. And so that's why I would argue that this totally unrealistic look for ice is a better look for the character. Now this, I only want to compare these two because there have been other ones which aren't great. I think that's like the most sought after one, so that's why I'm using it. I would argue that, well, at least for me personally, now it could be completely different for you, so this isn't technically a knock on the figure, it's just my thoughts. I think that looks better. Not the figure, just the color. I like that swirly pearlescent white over the blue. I think it's way cooler looking. They're not puns anymore, okay? I'm just using it as the adjective. I don't know. You guys can decide for yourself. I personally don't care for this because you can't really see any of the definition on a figure like this where it's all completely translucent like that. I don't know. That's just a personal thing. Again, that's up to you. As far as the sculpt goes, they did do some new sculpt work, which is pretty nice. We have some little like icy shard things going around the forearms. I hope you guys can see this. It's going to be a tricky one. Yeah, there's some like icy shards here, and then the hand has some little protrusions. He's got this thing that glues onto his back, which isn't the best, but it'll do. It's fine. And that gives him some spikes coming out around his neck. Same thing on this side. This hand's a fist hand, but we've got some more spikies there. And then on the lower legs, we have some more spikies there. And he's got bare feet that they're not the same as Vision's feet, so don't worry about that. They are, at least I don't think they are. Now they kind of look like they are. At first I thought they were a little more angular to look like ice, and I think that's the case. Since when does Iceman not wear shoes? I always thought he had shoes on. I don't like that personally, but again, that's neither here nor there. And we have a new head sculpt where the features are kind of angular, and then he's got, I guess, icy hair, which to me, it's not my favorite look for Iceman at all, but it's okay. Now here's the thing. I'm almost certain that despite not really being able to see the details of the figure, I'm fairly certain that that is the Pizza Spider-Man body. Pretty sure. And it's not proportionally accurate at all for anybody, even Spider-Man. We didn't care for it in that regard for Spider-Man, and it still looks weird. Look how skinny and long his torso is, and then how thick and long his arms are in relation. His torso is barely thicker than his arm. That's not accurate in any human, really, even Spider-Man, because he's not drawn that way, normally speaking. So it just doesn't look great. Sure, he's got great articulation, but that's not the only thing to consider. The proportions are really weird, and the head sits way too high on the neck peg. Way too high. I mean, even with that icy thing around there, his head looks like it's too high. So that is not good. Now, as far as the articulation goes, we can go ahead and run through it real quick, but whatever. The hinge, wow, okay. So there's a hinge there with a ball peg for the neck, which is fine. But like I said, the head sits way too high on that ball peg, so that's why it popped off way too easily, way too much leverage. Full side to side, you can turn it way too much, and that's because it sits too high. That's a good example of how to tell if a figure sits too high. If it can move around way too much on top of the ball peg unnaturally, then that's a good indicator. We have really nice butterfly joint though, so you can't fault that. The shoulder hinge doesn't come all the way out to the side unless you really force it, but since there's no paint, no worries, you can do that, so that's okay. We can rotate the arm all the way around. No issues there. Bicep swivel's fine. Double jointed elbow. It's fine. The plastic they used is really flexible. Now that's kind of good because generally speaking, clear plastics break really easily. And so they're using one that won't break. It'll just bend. So that's kind of good, but it's still not the best because it's a really, really soft plastic. So you could even tear it. We have a hinge and a swivel for the hand. Ab crunch works fine, going all the way forward, all the way back. You have your waist twist. Look how long that abdominal section is. That is way too much. Way too much torso. That's no bueno. Alright, so the hips can come all the way forward. We've seen this before. All the way forward, and then they go out to the side pretty far. Here's a problem. Both of the thigh swivels on this guy were totally 100% frozen. I did it again. I had to. But I was able to free them up by very carefully kind of pulling on them and prying on them so as to not snap them off completely like the that one Ultron figure in the 3-pack that happened. So once you free them up, the thigh swivels are fine. Double jointed knees work fine. And then the ankles, they're particularly loose, but you do have good range going forward and back. You can see how just soft this plastic is. Like it feels like I've had it in hot water or a hairdryer, but it's just super soft. So I don't know, it's a fine figure. If you really like Iceman, pick it up. Alright guys, there we go. It's okay, it's not bad, it's not good, it's just a very blob, mediocre, nothing special type of figure. Thanks for watching guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every single day, even more than one most days. So there's plenty of stuff to watch. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, gaming, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.